writing wasn't hers anymore. Hey, night listener. Tonight, we enter the shadows, the kind that stretch too long across midnight streets, the kind that pulse between alley cracks and hang like threads under blinking neon. The city hums like something half asleep and half aware. Rain taps like tiny footsteps on the roof of your car, and every red light feels like it's watching you. You shift in your seat. You've been here before, but something's changed. If this story found you, maybe it's because you've been followed too. So, before we vanish into this mystery, like the video and subscribe only if you can handle the truth buried beneath the lies. Drop a comment. Where are you listening from, and what pulls you deeper, the truth, the thrill, or the justice? Now, lock your doors, take a deep breath, and follow me into the dark. You arrive just after 200 a.m. The scene is quiet, controlled, too clean. Blue tape borders the entrance like a hesitant apology. A uniformed officer nods you in. You step through the door. The apartment smells like lavender and something sour underneath. That contradiction you've learned to associate with death trying to disguise itself. The body is on the bed. She's posed, head tilted, hands folded across her chest like she's apologizing for the mess. A single line of blood trailing from her temple to the pillow, stark against the white sheets. You recognize her. Of course you do. You found her once before. Different room, different city, same pattern. You were supposed to stop this, but what stops you is the note, placed delicately on the nightstand, beneath a black fountain pen, still wet at the tip. You read it once, then twice. It's her handwriting. You know it. You've seen it on birthday cards, in old letters, scribbled in margins of shared books. Except it's not. There's something wrong. The loops are too neat, the pressure too even, like someone learned her pen strokes from memory, not from muscle. The message is only one sentence: I did this because he told me to. You ask the tech to dust for prints. He nods. But you already know what they'll find. Because you're sweating. Because you don't remember what you were doing at midnight. Because the last time you spoke to her, you promised to leave her alone. And now, she's alone forever. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The pen catches your eye again. It's not hers. It's yours. You gave it to her after your last case together, wrapped in tissue, tied with a red ribbon. She hated red. You whisper, why would she use this? The detective on scene shrugs. Sentimental. You shake your head. She would have thrown it away. You step into the bathroom. The mirror is fogged. There's no steam, no sign of a shower, but the glass holds condensation. Anyway, you wipe it clean, scrawled faintly beneath the glass, backwards, as if someone wrote it from the other side. I didn't. You don't breathe. You don't blink. You stare at the message until your eyes ache. Outside, thunder rumbles. Inside, her face is still too calm, like she knew this would happen, like she didn't try to stop it. You reach into your coat. The note's already in your pocket. You didn't put it there. You read it again. The words rearrange in your mind. He told me to. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. The ink is still wet. You're not supposed to touch anything, but your hand reaches out anyway. The pen is still warm. That's what stops you cold. Not warm like it's been under a lamp. Warm like it's been held. Like it's still echoing the pressure of a hand that isn't hers. You flip the note again. The paper is thick, the expensive kind. The edge is torn, uneven, like it came from a larger sheet, maybe a journal. But she didn't keep one. She never trusted paper with her thoughts. Said words last longer in silence. Yet, here it is. And when your thumb brushes the ink, it smears. You jerk your hand back, heart pounding. The ink is still wet. You check the room again. Every drawer is closed. The floor is undisturbed. No signs of struggle, just her, too still, and the note too fresh. Your phone buzzes. Unknown number. You answer. There's only breathing. Then a voice you haven't heard in months. She never wrote that. You know she didn't. Click. You call the number back. Disconnected. You don't know what's worse, hearing that voice or knowing you don't know who it was. You look at her again. Her hands are clean. Nails trimmed. No ink stains. No sign she touched the pen at all. You whisper, "Who wrote it for you?" You step back into the hallway. Need air, space, distance. The hallway light flickers, the same way it did at the last scene. You remember another apartment, another woman, same positioning, same note. Only that one was typed. This one is personal. Someone is learning, getting closer, adapting. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You pace. The neighbor is outside now, arms crossed, watching through a crack in their door. You nod. Did you hear anything? They shake their head, then pause. I heard crying. Earlier. Not tonight. Last night. From her apartment. They hesitate. No. From yours. You blink. You live 2 floors up. Alone. Always have. Always will. If this keeps happening. You step outside. The city smells like damp brick and unresolved cases. Sirens in the distance. Headlights sweeping shadows across alley walls like ghosts trying to find the right shape. You check your pockets for your casebook. It's missing. You never go anywhere without it. A black notebook, cracked spine, filled with handwriting no one's allowed to see. You reach your car. The passenger door is unlocked. You never leave it unlocked. Inside, resting on the seat, your notebook, open to a fresh page, and written in her unmistakable hand. He's making you forget. Start here. Below that, a date. Tomorrow's. You sit in the driver's seat. Clutch the wheel. Breathe in and out. Count to 10. Then again. Because the only thing scarier than not knowing what happens next is knowing you already wrote it. You flip back a few pages. Something's missing. Entire entries ripped out. You can still see the edge where the paper tore. Your handwriting gets worse the deeper you go. More slanted. Less yours. And on the last full page, don't let her die again. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. Your hands tremble, but the ink's still wet. It was never about the truth. It was about control. Her ring is on your desk. Your apartment is dark when you return. Too dark. You always leave a light on. Always. It's not fear, it's protocol. A rule. Like checking the back seat before you drive or keeping your phone fully charged when you go deep into memory. But the bulb above the door is out. Burned, unscrewed. You don't check. You step inside and listen. The silence holds its breath like it's waiting for you to notice something. You do. Immediately. Your desk. The clutter's been moved, nothing dramatic. Just wrong enough that you can tell. The pen you left horizontal is diagonal. The coffee cup is dry when it should still be warm. And in the center of the desk, her ring. You stare at it. Gold. Simple. Engraved inside. You don't need to look. You know what it says. Tell me again. The phrase was hers. She'd whisper it to you after every argument, every storm, every long night. Tell me again that we're real, that we're not stories made up in someone else's case file. You pick up the ring. It's warm, too warm, like someone else was just holding it, but she never took it off. Not once. She told you that. You believed her because you needed to. But now it's here, on your desk, with a new drop of blood dried on the inside of the band. Not hers. You know her blood type. Lived it. This is yours. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You cutting yourself. But when you run your fingers across your palm, there's a small nick just beginning to sting, like it was made precisely to leave a trace. Your notebook still sits in your jacket pocket. You pull it out. It's been updated again. You didn't write in it, but someone did. The last entry is only 5 words. She put it back here. You freeze. You check your door. Still locked. No signs of forced entry. You check the windows. Latched. Everything seems untouched, except what matters. You sit at the desk, ring in hand, and look up at the corkboard you've avoided for weeks. The one filled with red string, black and white photos, timelines that no longer make sense. There's a new photo pinned to the center. You didn't put it there. You're in it, asleep, in your chair. Last night's clothes, same lighting, same time on the wall clock behind you. Someone took your picture in your own apartment while you slept. The timestamp reads 1:17 a.m., 43 minutes before she died. Your stomach turns. You glance back at the ring. It's sitting in your palm now, but you don't remember putting it there. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You slide the ring into your desk drawer, on instinct. Next to a photograph you haven't looked at in months. You open the drawer. It's already gone. The photo, the ring, everything, except a new object, a small folded piece of paper. You open it. 1 sentence. Don't pretend you forgot where you hid her. The desk drawer slams shut. You don't touch it again. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And someone else has the pen now. The photograph she shouldn't have taken. You sit alone. The sound of your breathing louder than it should be. The drawer won't open now. Locked. No key. No mechanism. Just the kind of shut that means someone on the other side doesn't want you remembering. You lean back and stare at the board again. Red thread. Black tacks. Names scratched out in frustration. Maps with circles around buildings that no longer exist. But it's the photo that draws you in. The one in the center. The one that wasn't there before. You unpin it. It's grainy, like an old surveillance still, taken from just outside your apartment window. Your inside visible only in silhouette, standing over your desk. But it's not night in the picture. It's daylight. You were at the precinct all day yesterday. No one had access to your place. Except you flip the photo. There's writing on the back. Her handwriting. Clear. Deliberate. I took this from the inside. You freeze. The timestamp on the photo. 2 days after her death. That's not a trick. That's not a glitch. That's a message. Your phone buzzes again. Same unknown number. You answer. Same breathing. No voice. Just a long exhale. Then the photograph you are holding doesn't exist. Yet, click. You check your call log. There's no record of the call. Just like the last time. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You walk over to the mirror above your sink. The one you avoid. The one with the tape over the bottom third. Ever since the last time you saw something move when you didn't, you rip off the tape. There's nothing behind you, but your reflection is holding the photo. You're not. You stare. The reflection lifts the photo and presses it to the glass. It changes. Now you see her, standing behind you in the reflection, smiling. Not malicious, not broken, just present. Your stomach twists. You spin. No one there. Of course, you whisper to the empty room. Why are you still here? The air answers. Because you never let me go. You drop the photo. It flutters to the floor like an obituary. You pick it up again, slowly. The image is different now. It's the same shot, but she's in it. Barefoot, hair damp, standing by your bookshelf. Your Your silhouette is still at the desk, but her figure is sharp, clear, alive. You run your thumb along the edge of the print. The ink smears. It's still wet. Again, everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You pin the photo back to the board. It feels like a trap, but not for her, for you. You take a breath, pull out the journal, flip to the page marked with a crease. There's a line you didn't write. The missing photo always appears when you're about to lie again. You sit down, open your laptop, try to pull up her file. Access denied. You bypass the firewall. The file opens. The death certificate is there. Time of death, 2:03 a.m. Cause suicide. Witness you. Except you don't remember signing it. And her file photo, it's the same as the one now pinned to your corkboard. Timestamp, tomorrow. You close the laptop. This isn't about evidence anymore. This is about memory. The kind that drips in slow and poisons everything else on the way down. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And someone else has been developing your negatives in the dark room of your mind. Her diary stops mid-sentence. The box is where you left it top shelf of the bedroom closet, behind a shoebox full of tangled cords and dust. You told yourself it was a keepsake, that you were holding on to it for evidence, but you know better now. You bring it to the desk and open the worn leather cover. Her diary. You've read it before at least. You thought you had, but the weight in your chest says this time will be different. You flip past early pages filled with doodles, pressed flowers, a grocery list from a life that feels 100 years away. Then the shift begins. The ink gets darker. The lines slant. She starts writing in second person. You were outside again. I saw you by the gate, but you're supposed to be gone. You keep forgetting I'm the one who buried you. You swallow hard. You skip to the final entry. It starts the way the others do. I saw him again. And then, nothing. The line trails off mid-sentence, like she was pulled away, or decided not to finish. You check the timestamp at the top of the page, 1:58 a.m., 5 minutes before her death. You run your fingers over the paper. It's not torn, not smeared, just incomplete. You check the back of the page, a faint indentation, like she pressed the pen down hard. You hold the page to the light, the imprint of one final word, almost invisible. Run. You slam the diary shut, but it doesn't stay closed. It opens to a new page that wasn't there a moment ago, blank except for a post-it note in handwriting that is unmistakably yours. You read this once already. You stagger back from the desk, drop the diary. You don't remember writing that. You pick it back up. Tucked between pages is a photograph, one you've never seen. She's sitting at this desk, your desk, writing in the same diary. Your coat is draped across her shoulders. She's smiling at the camera. There's a shadow in the doorway behind her, tall, unmoving, faceless. You flip the photo. On the back, in her handwriting, he knows you better than you do. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You reach into your coat for the journal. It's heavier now. You flip to the page marked with the red thread. It's a mirror of her diary entry. Same date, same time, same sentence. Unfinished. But the ending is filled in by you. I saw him again. He looks just like me. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You run to the bathroom. Rip off the remaining tape from the mirror. Your reflection is waiting. Same face, same body, same clothes, but his mouth is already moving, and yours isn't. The reflection leans closer and whispers one word you don't hear, but know, because you wrote it in the margin once, in a moment of panic. Switch. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And something's been writing your story from the other side of the page. The fingerprint that matches yours. You always hated waiting for lab results. But this time, you dread their arrival. The phone vibrates on the desk. You let it ring twice before answering. Forensics, the voice says. Print came back. You close your eyes. Let me guess. Pause. Then it's yours. You don't ask which finger. You already know. The one with the scar. The one you cut when you pried open her mailbox the week she stopped answering your calls. You said it was because you were worried. But deep down, you were just angry. And now, your skin has turned into evidence. You sure, you ask? Positive match. On the blade itself, not just the handle. You hang up before he can finish. The knife was clean. Her blood, your print, and yet, the part of you that should be screaming panic now, get a lawyer, run, is quiet. Too quiet. Because you remember the night in fragments. A cold doorknob, a hallway light flickering, your own reflection in a kitchen window, watching you from outside. Not in the kitchen, outside. But you were inside, weren't you? You checked the notebook again. A new line has been scribbled in the margin of yesterday's entry. Check under your fingernails. You stagger into the bathroom. Wash your hands. Scrub under the nails. And there it is. Not blood. Ink. Black. Thick. The kind from a fountain pen. The kind used to write a note. You stare at your fingers. You haven't touched a pen all day. But the ink is fresh. Still staining your skin like memory never got the chance to dry. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You look into the mirror. Your reflection is holding something. You are not. You blink. And now, you're both empty-handed again. You turn off the light, sit in the dark, and think about the fact that your DNA, your identity, is woven into a death you swore you only discovered. The journal sits on your lap like a judge with too many verdicts. You open it. There's a photocopy of the fingerprint analysis report. It's dated 3 days ago, before the print was lifted, before the test was run. You flip the page. There's a sticky note in her handwriting. You didn't do it, but you let it happen. You slam the journal shut. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. The apartment walls feel closer now. Not threatening, just familiar in a way you didn't consent to. You get up and walk to the door. Your coat hangs where it always does. But now, there's a glove in the pocket. Just one. Leather. Right hand. Her initials stitched inside. You put it on without thinking. It fits. Exactly. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And maybe it still is. Because when you take the glove off, your palm is covered in ink again. Same sentence. Over and over. Written in small, neat handwriting. You were here. You were here. You were here. Her voice. On the voicemail. It's almost midnight when the message arrives. Your phone lights up like a confession waiting to be read. 1. New voicemail. Unknown number, timestamp 2. 03 a.m. last night. The exact time of death. You don't press play immediately. You stare at the screen, thumb hovering, like touching it might summon something into the room you're not ready to face, but you're already too deep to turn back. Click, beep, at first static, then breathing, then her voice, soft, calm, too calm. Hey, it's me. You drop the phone, heart thudding so hard it muffles her voice. The sound still plays from the floor. I know I shouldn't be calling, but I needed to hear something familiar. There's a long pause. Then, I don't think he's me anymore. The line crackles. You hear footsteps, not hers, heavier, slow. I think he's you. Click. End of message. You pick up the phone with shaking hands. Rewind. Play it again. Same words. Same tone. Same ending. You check the voicemail log. The metadata's wrong. Call placed from your number. You stagger back. Sit on the floor. The ink on your palm hasn't faded. You scrubbed it until your skin peeled. But the words are still there. You were here. You were here. The journal lies open beside you. This time, the page is different. It's a transcript of the voicemail exactly as it was spoken, word for word. But at the bottom, a handwritten note in your scroll, dated 2 days ago. Do not answer the call. Do not listen. It resets the loop. You whisper. What loop? The apartment answers, not with sound, with presence. That subtle shift in pressure when someone enters a room you didn't know was locked. You rise slowly. The mirror by the front door is fogged again. No steam, no heat. You wipe it clean, and there she is. Not a photo, not a trick of light. Just her, standing in the reflection, behind you, mouth moving, but no sound. You don't turn. You watch until she raises her hand and presses it to the inside of the glass. There's writing now, fogged into the surface. This isn't your first death. Your throat tightens. You reach out to touch it, but the mirror cracks before you can. Spider webs radiate from where her hand touched the glass. She fades. Your hand comes away damp, not with water, with ink. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You back into the hallway. The lights flicker. The voicemail replays itself. You didn't tell it to. The same voice, same pause. Only now there's an extra sentence. If you listen again, he'll answer instead. You turn off the phone. You think about smashing it, but you don't, because part of you wants to know what he'd say. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You walk to your desk. Your glove is gone, but in its place, a tape recorder, old, clunky, already playing, and the sound is your voice, not hers, saying, "This is the version where I remember everything. Tamaife." It was never about the truth. It was about control, and the one in control is starting to sound a lot like you. The mirror in her closet lies. You don't remember driving to her apartment, but you're here now. Front door already open. No sign of forced entry. No light on inside. Just the quiet kind of unlocked that says someone wanted you to come in. The wallpaper still peels near the ceiling. Water damage creeping across the corners like rot in a tooth. It smells like dust and forgotten perfume. You walk in slow, because this place is no longer hers. It's yours. The coffee table still holds your mug, your book. Your coat hangs behind the door like it never left, but she's gone. Her closet door stands ajar. You step toward it, one cautious breath at a time. Inside coats, scarves, her scent jasmine and something sharp beneath it. A childhood sweater, shoes she only wore on rainy days. Nothing changed, except the mirror, oval, full length, framed in chipped white. It's angled slightly, just enough to catch a reflection that isn't quite right. You stand in front of it and freeze. The room behind you is wrong. In the reflection, the bed is made. The nightstand is empty. The ring isn't there. Her body isn't either. The window is open in the mirror, but closed in reality. You reach back. Your hand finds cold glass. You stare harder. In the reflection, a figure sits on the bed, back turned, still, motionless. You blink. She's gone. You spin around. No one there. The mirror doesn't change. You reach out, tap the glass. It doesn't feel like glass. It feels like breath. Then a message fogs into the surface, as if exhaled from the other side. Stop checking for a pulse. You stumble back. Your hand scrapes something in the corner of the closet. You reach down. A box. Old. Wooden. Locked. You pull it into the room. Sit on the floor. Use her old earring to pick the clasp. Click. Inside photographs. All of them with her face scratched out. One by one, but always by the same hand. Yours. You know your lines. Your loops. The way you dig the pen in when you're about to break. You whisper, "Why would I do this?" A folded sheet of paper slips from the bottom of the box. You open it. It's a reflection of the suicide note. Same words, same ink, same angle of writing. But this one ends with a second line. He said, if I let him in, he'd take you instead. You check the corner of the paper. Stamped there, draft 5. You feel sick. How many versions were there? You flip it over. A date is written in the margin. Tomorrow. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You reach for the mirror again. In the reflection, the closet behind you is still closed. You never closed it. Not in this version. You touch the glass. It's warm now. Too warm. The figure on the bed is back. Only this time, she's turned. Smiling. Holding a camera. Everyone lies. Especially the quiet ones. Your phone buzzes. New message. No number. Just an image. It's you kneeling by the mirror. Hand pressed to the glass. Captioned. He chose this one. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And you're no longer sure who's watching from the other side. The witness recalls a different you. You return to the precinct in a haze. The kind of mental fog that doesn't come from exhaustion, but from too many truths clawing their way to the surface at once. You know, you're walking into suspicion. You just don't care anymore. Detective Ward meets you in the hallway, chewing the inside of his cheek, like he knows he should be saying something, but he's not sure which version of you is standing here today. You got a minute? He asks. You nod. He leads you into the viewing room. One-way glass, observation cameras, recording silently. On the other side of the glass, a woman sits at the table. Nervous hands, coffee untouched, eyes locked on the door like she's afraid of what memory might walk through next. Her name's Carol Moore. Ward says, neighbor, lived across from the victim. You don't speak. Just watch. He continues. We didn't think much of her statement at first, but then she described the man she saw leaving the apartment around 2:15. He pauses, glances at you. She described you. Your mouth goes dry. I was home. You say, you know that. Ward nods slowly. Yeah, you told me. But she's not the only one. He slides a folder across the table. You open it. Inside composite sketches. 3 of them. Each drawn from different witnesses. All different blocks. Different times. Each one a slightly different you. Thinner. Older. Unshaven. Smiling too wide. But they're all you. You stare at the drawings. A hollow creeps through your chest. Ward leans in. We ran facial match scans. 86% match to your structure. Not perfect, but close enough to get flagged. You whisper. You think I have a twin? No, he says. I think you've been split. You look at him. What does that mean? Ward hesitates. You ever read a case file you didn't remember writing? Your blood runs cold. Yes, you ever wake up somewhere familiar, but forget how you got there? You nod slowly. He slides one more sheet across. A time log. Access to the evidence locker. Your name signed in. Timestamp 2:12 a.m. You signed out the box with her belongings, then checked it back in 20 minutes later. But you don't remember, do you? You stare at the log. Someone is using you, or you're using yourself. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You walk out of the room and into the hallway. The floor feels off beneath your shoes, like each step is on the verge of cracking. You duck into the bathroom. The mirror above the sink is gone. Only a frame now. Empty. Scrawled on the wall inside the frame. Don't trust the one who smiles. You check your phone. New voicemail. Unknown number. Again. You play it. Your voice. Stop trying to solve this. You wrote the ending already. Click. Everyone lies. Especially the quiet ones. You open the Notes app. A new entry stares back at you. Dated yesterday. Written by you. If they ask, tell them it wasn't you. Because technically, it wasn't. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And maybe you've been controlling something you don't even recognize anymore. The key that doesn't fit. You return to her building like it's calling you back. The same creak in the floorboards. Same dull click of the elevator button refusing to light. The hallway smells like bleach and overcompensation, like someone trying to clean away guilt with chemicals. Her door stands quiet. You reach for your copy of the key. Slide it in. Twist. Nothing. You try again. No give. You jiggle the knob. Deadbolt doesn't budge. You check the number on the door. It's right. Same paint chips. Same sticker she never peeled off from the previous tenant. Same everything. Except now, you don't belong here. You knock. No answer. Of course not. She's gone. But you knock again anyway. Louder. And on the third knock, the door creaks open a crack on its own. You freeze. Hello, nothing. You push it open. The apartment is empty. Not just quiet. Empty. Furniture gone. Walls stripped. Floors bare. Even the wallpaper you remember peeling is gone fresh paint now. Like someone scrubbed the timeline clean. But this was hers. This is where she died. You stand in the center of the room. A space that once held echoes now holds nothing until you look down. At your feet, a small black envelope. No name, no markings, just there. You kneel, open it. Inside a single key, new, brass, no tag, and a scrap of paper. 4 words, handwritten. Try it on yours. You swallow, pocket the key, backtrack to your car, drive faster than you should, back to your apartment. Your hands shake as you approach the door. Slide your key into the lock. It turns. Of course it does. You live here. But then, you try the new key. It turns too, and clicks. 2 locks. You never installed a second. You open the door. Step inside. Everything looks normal. Until you reach the desk, where there's a note. Typed. Crisp. Deliberate. If you're reading this, it means I've already changed the lock. You're not who you think you are. Not this time. The signature yours. You stagger back. Turn toward the mirror near your bookshelf. Fogged. Again. You wipe it. Your reflection is wearing a coat you haven't owned in 5 years. You blink. It changes back. But now, something sits on your bookshelf. A box, not yours. You open it. Inside a passport. Fake. Your face. Different name. Birthplace listed. Unknown. Tucked inside a ring. Hers. Again. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You rush back outside. Phone in hand. Dialing the precinct. Voicemail. You turn around and her apartment is gone. Literally. Where the building was now stands an empty lot. No tape, no scaffolding, no evidence it ever existed. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. Your phone buzzes, a message from no number. Stop unlocking things. You might remember too much. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And now the locks aren't on her doors. They're on your mind. You find your old notebook you don't remember packing, but your suitcase is by the door, half zipped, like you got interrupted maybe by a memory. You stare at the suitcase, then at the journal still gripped in your hand like a lifeline made of ink and madness. And that's when you see it, the old notebook, tucked between books on the shelf where you haven't looked in years. You slide it out. Black leather cover, torn spine, edges warped from moisture. A thin red ribbon marks a random page. Your name is etched into the front cover, not by you, but in her handwriting. You open it. The first page greets you like a punch to the chest. Day one found the girl. Forgot why. You sit down slowly. This is from before. Before the voices. Before the mirror. Before she left or was taken or whatever this has become. The notebook smells like old regrets. Each page is dated, detailed, methodical, evidence, observations, timelines. Almost like you were solving something, but you weren't. You were documenting, recording details of a case that doesn't exist in the department's system. A case with only two names, hers and yours. You flip to the middle. One page stands out. Written in frantic pen, she died 6 times. None of them stuck. Another note scrawled below in a different pen. Calmer, slower. You said you'd stop if she begged. She did. You didn't. You shiver. The entries get more fragmented. Dates loop, names change, but the story doesn't. She came back with different eyes this time. This version forgets her dreams. This time, she left the window open. And then, the kicker. A passage written in large, shaking letters. I am not the original. The line repeats, over and over. 10 pages of the same sentence. I am not the original. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Your phone buzzes. It's a photo of your notebook. This one open to the same page you're reading, from a different angle. Taken over your shoulder. Captioned, finally catching up. Your doorbell rings. No one ever uses your doorbell. You walk slowly to the door. Notebook clutched like a weapon. Look through the peephole. Nothing. You open the door. A package sits on your doormat. No address. No label. You bring it inside. Open it. Inside, a VHS tape. Written in faded ink. Play me again. You don't own a VHS player. You never have. But there's one now on your shelf. Plugged in. Waiting. Like it's always been there. Everyone lies. Especially the quiet ones. You slide in the tape. Snow. Then static. Then her face. Eyes closed. Breathing. Then she speaks. Don't let him finish the notebook. You know what happens when he does. You freeze the frame. She's looking straight at you. You turn the notebook to the last page. Blank. Except for a line being written in real time. Ink appearing. Slowly. As if an invisible hand were finishing the thought. You've written this before. Stop pretending this is new. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And the one holding the pen is getting impatient. She's in a photo you never took. You wake to your phone buzzing again. 3:06 a.m. No light in the room, but something feels off. You don't remember falling asleep, but the open notebook lies on your chest, and the pen is still warm in your hand. The VHS tape is gone, so is the player, like they were never here. But your screen glows, a new image, text. This was your last warning. You open it. It's a photo, a city street, nighttime, dim lamplight casting long shadows, and in the corner, half lit, blurry but unmistakable her, standing beneath the traffic light, head tilted, watching, wearing the coat she died in. You zoom in. The storefront behind her is one you recognize, not because you've been there, but because you've dreamed it. That cafe with the flickering neon sign always open. You've never seen it in real life, but here it is, in a real photo, stamped with metadata, date 2 days from now, location 6 blocks from your apartment. You check the EXIF data twice. It was taken from your phone. You never took it, but it's in your camera roll now. You get up, throw on your coat. You have to see if the cafe is real. You walk fast. Every shadow feels 2 seconds behind you. The streets are wet again. From rain or memory, you're not sure. You turn the final corner, heart pounding, and there it is, the cafe. Just like the picture, flickering neon, empty chairs, clock ticking above the door. But it's boarded up, has been for years. You peek through a crack in the plywood. Inside dust, cobwebs, and on the table by the window, a photograph. You shove the boards aside and push the door open. It creaks loud enough to sound like a warning. You cross the room, lift the photo. It's a printed version of the one on your phone, but someone's drawn over it. Red ink circling her face. Underneath, a scrawled message. She sees you now. You whip around. No one. But something's changed. The cafe smells like lavender. Faint. Fading. Her scent. Your phone buzzes again. New voicemail from your number. You play it. Your voice. Panicked. Out of breath. You took the photo to remember her. You keep forgetting she's trying to forget you. Click. You sit down. Head in your hands. This isn't just a loop. It's a war for perspective. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The notebook feels heavier now, like each page holds a version of events you're trying not to read. You flip to the last page again. The ink is still writing itself. If you find her one more time, she won't disappear. You will. You close the notebook, stand up, turn to leave, but the cafe door is gone, replaced by a mirror, cracked at the top. In it, her, but this time, you're the one in the background, fading, ghosted out. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. Your phone lights up with a final message before the battery dies. This is the photograph she shouldn't have kept. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And now the camera isn't watching her. It's following you. The letter, addressed to no one. The mirror doesn't let you through. You press your palm to the glass cold. Too smooth, like it's never been touched. But your handprint lingers. Behind it, your reflection tilts its head just slightly too slowly to be yours. You turn away. The cafe, once silent, begins to hum, low, mechanical, like an old refrigerator powering up after years of silence. You follow the sound to the back room. A file cabinet stands in the middle of the floor, out of place, dustless. The top drawer is open, papers perfectly stacked, folders marked with labels you don't recognize, iterations, false endings, recovered truths. You reach for one labeled "For him if he wakes up this time," inside a single sheet of paper, typed. Your name at the top, but no salutation, no greeting, just words that feel like they know you better than you know yourself. You were never meant to find her. That was the deal. That was the cost of knowing. You asked to forget, but you're starting again. We warned you. This isn't your body. Not entirely. It's a blend of borrowed habits and broken timelines. You're occupying yourself. Your throat tightens. You flip the page. On the back, handwritten. If you're reading this, then the reset failed. You're bleeding through again. Stop writing things down. That's how he tracks you. You drop the letter like it burns because your notebook is still in your coat and it's still writing itself. You pull it out. New entry. Still wet. You were told not to read the letter. You run out of the cafe, into the street. The night feels wrong. The city too quiet. No cars. No sound. Just the click of your shoes on damp concrete and the ringing in your ears like you've remembered something your brain can't make room for. You reach your building, stairwell instead of elevator, faster that way. You reach your door. Use your original key. It still works. Inside your desk is cleared, except for one thing. A sealed envelope. On the front, do not open. Signed, you. You stare at it. Feel the weight in your chest settle. But you open it anyway. Inside a single Polaroid photo of you sleeping in her bed. But she's not in the photo. She's taking it. You flip it over. One word, handwritten in her cursive. Return. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You check the timestamp. Corner of the Polaroid, written in faded marker. Tomorrow's date. And the hour. 2:03 a.m. The exact minute she died. Again, you back away from the desk. A draft moves through the room. You look toward the window. It's open now. Curtains moving like breath. On the sill, a feather, black, charred at the tip. You don't own birds. You don't believe in signs. But still you pocket it. Because part of you does. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. The notebook buzzes in your hand. You open it. A line appears, as if written by invisible ink, igniting into truth. He left the letter so you'd chase the wrong ending again. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And control is about distraction, which means someone wants you looking the other way. The man in the reflection smiles. First, you sit in your apartment, lights off, heart slow. The notebook lies in your lap, closed for once. It's too quiet. Even the city outside has stilled, like the world has paused to see what you'll do next. You reach for the mirror, not because you want to, because you have to. This one's different. Oval, gold framed. A thrift store find, she once insisted, gave the apartment a little haunted charm. You always joked it reflected things too well. Tonight, it reflects something else. You, but not quite. Your reflection stands where you do, wears what you wear, but his hands twitch slightly, impatient, and his mouth smiling before yours moves. That's how you know it's not just your imagination. You step back, so does he, but a second too late. You raise your hand, he follows, but slower now, like he's waiting for your next move. You whisper, "What do you want?" The reflection tilts its head. Mouth moves, but no sound comes. But then words form in condensation across the glass. You let her vanish, so I took your place. You blink, and the mirror clears. Now the room behind your reflection has changed. No longer your apartment. It's hers, fully furnished. Lamp on, bed unmade, diary open. You see her, alive, back turned, writing. You press your hand to the glass, and this time it doesn't stop you. Your fingers sink in, like water. You yank back, too late. The air behind you shifts. You spin, and there he is, the reflection, now in your apartment, standing in your real room. You're not sure who stepped through what, but the rules are no longer yours. You try to move, can't. Your limbs feel distant, hands numb from the mirror's surface. New words scrawl themselves. It's his turn now. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You mouth her name, but you can't speak. Only he can now. The reflection walks calmly to your notebook, opens it, begins writing. Your body follows his movements, like a puppet, and the words on the page begin to glow, just faintly, like embers. I remember now. I was always the copy. He was the one she trusted. And now He's the one who's free. The pen lifts off the page. The reflection looks up, smiles again, then turns back to the mirror and disappears, gone, leaving you behind the glass, watching, trapped. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You slam your fists against the inside of the mirror. No sound, no response, only your apartment, just out of reach. And on the desk, your phone buzzes. He answers it. Your voice says, "No, it's me. I'm fine now." Click. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And now, the one holding the pen isn't you anymore. You wake up in the wrong memory. It's raining hard. You blink against the glass. Wait, there's glass. You reach out and tap it gently. A window. Not your apartment window. Not her building. This is different. Old. The kind of cold metal frame that belongs in a hospital or a holding cell. You glance around. The room is gray. Empty except for a single chair. A table. A wall-mounted clock stuck at 2:03. You whisper, "No," because you've been here before. Or maybe someone put you here. Now that the switch is complete, the notebook is gone, but in its place on the table is a thick manila file labeled in all caps, Subject 13A, Containment Logs. You open it. Page 1. A mugshot. Yours. Only not quite. The hair is shorter. Eyes slightly darker. The smile almost real. Almost. Underneath, status non-compliant. Pattern repeating. Each page lists incidents. Subject reports fragmented dreams. Subject unable to maintain control of constructed memory. Subject reboots following female trigger entity designation her. Termination attempted failed. Mirror interface achieved autonomy. You keep reading, hands trembling. Then you find it. A page marked with red ink. Note. Subject now believes he is the original. Continue simulation until full dissociation is achieved. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You stagger back from the table, pulse hammering in your ears. The walls begin to hum, faintly at first, then louder. You glance around for cameras, nothing visible, but you feel them, watching, recording, curating. You pound on the door. "Let me out." No one answers. You turn toward the mirror again. Of course there's a mirror. There always is. And this one is clean. Perfect. Except for the words burned into the glass. "Don't wake up. He's using your body." You run to it, but it doesn't open, doesn't ripple, doesn't forgive. You see the world beyond it. Your world. The desk. Your reflection only. It's him. He's sitting where you should be, wearing your body like a mask. And he looks happy, calm, in control. You scream. Bang harder. He looks up, smiles, holds up the notebook, opens it. A live feed of your scream scribbles across the page. He's almost finished writing you out. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. The intercom clicks on. A voice, neutral, familiar, yours, but automated. Subject has reached loop integrity failure. Beginning overwrite. You drop to your knees. The walls begin to fade. Room eroding like a memory too fragile to hold itself up anymore. You clutch the only thing left to photograph that wasn't there before. It's her, sitting at the window of the cafe, smiling, holding the same notebook. On the back version 13A, still watching. And below that, another line. In her handwriting, "You promised not to come back." It was never about the truth. It was about control. And you're no longer sure whose story you were supposed to be telling. The security footage shows you leaving twice. You find yourself outside. Not sure how. The cold hits you in waves, but your breath fog's too slow to be real. There's a USB stick in your pocket, labeled simply exit. No memory of putting it there. But that doesn't matter anymore. Nothing matters except plugging it in and finding out what you're not supposed to know. You return to the precinct. It's closed, lights out. But the back door, the one only detectives use, is unlocked. You've walked these halls before, but they feel different now. Longer, dimmer, like the place itself suspects you shouldn't be here. You make it to the tech room. The computer hums alive. No password. That's not a good sign. You slot in the USB. Files populate. Can ISO 13A exit. MP4 loop event retrigger. Wow. Note. Do not play. MP3. You click the first video. Grainy footage from the hallway outside her apartment. Time-stamped the night she died. You see yourself approach her door. Pause. Knock once. Then walk away. 2 minutes later, you appear again. Same clothes, same angle, same posture. But this time you go inside. Door opens for you. You vanish into the apartment. A few seconds later, the hallway stays empty. But your reflection flickers in the window pane, walking the other direction. You left twice, but never came back. You pause the video. Your throat is dry. You rewind it. Watch it again. The version of you that enters the apartment never comes out. But the hallway version, that one fades like a ghost. A projection. You click the audio file. A voice crackles through. Hers. Breathy. Distant. Unstable. I told him he couldn't have both. He had to choose truth or presence. He chose wrong. Click. Another voice joins yours, but tired, older. I thought I could stay inside the lie, make it real. The clip ends with the unmistakable sound of a pen scratching paper. You don't remember recording this. You don't remember choosing anything. The last file note. Do not play. MP3 sits in the corner of the screen like a dare. You click it. The sound is warped, but it's a loop of one sentence. He's not watching you. He's watching himself, over and over, until it stops and something new appears on screen. Text scrolling. Not from the USB, from the computer itself, line by line. You are not authorized to view this simulation. Violation 13A acknowledged. Reintegration initiated. Terminate ghost process. Restore primary consciousness. You back away. The lights in the precinct flicker. The screen goes black. A mirror appears, no longer in the corner of the room. It's now the entire wall, and in it, the other you, sitting calmly, writing again. This time, he looks up first. He mouths something. 3 words. You lean closer. You're the fiction. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Your phone buzzes. You check it. One new message. Stop watching the tapes. You're already on them. Attached a frame from the hallway video. But now, you're in it 3 times. One at the door, one in the stairwell, one watching from the top floor, smiling. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You whisper, which one am I? No answer. Only the mirror, only the loop, and the pen in his hand. Still moving. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And now, the footage is watching you. She calls you by the wrong name. Your phone rings again. But this time, it displays her name. Not unknown, not private number. Just her. You answer without breathing. Nothing but static then. Soft, slow breathing. And then, her voice. Don't come back to the lake. Miles. You freeze. Miles. That's not your name. It's not even close. You whisper, "Who is Miles?" But she's still talking. "You always find me there, but you never remember why. Please, not this time. Just stay gone." Click. Call ends. You stare at the phone, as if it might bleed the truth. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You open your notebook. A new entry has appeared. No timestamp, just a scribbled sentence. You weren't always him. You just got tired of not being seen. Your hands are shaking, because that name, it isn't just random. In the back of your mind, something unlocks. A memory. Flashing lights, trees, rain on gravel, the lake, and her, standing in the shallows, soaked, barefoot, smiling like she's forgiven you before you even ask. And you know. He called out to her. "I came back. You always do." You're not sure if it's memory or dream, but it feels realer than your apartment ever has. You rush to your closet, find the duffel bag with tags from up north, inside wet shoes, a motel receipt, a Polaroid of the lake house. You flip it over. In her handwriting, "If he forgets again, show him this," and beneath that, another note. "If he remembers, burn this. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones." You close the bag. You're going. You don't know why, but you need to see the lake again. You need to know if you're him or Miles. As you drive, the city fades like it was never fully rendered. The farther you go, the more familiar it feels. Pine trees, fog. The wind hums with something unsaid. You reach the lake at 3:02 a.m. The dock is still there, the water still black, and on the shore, a figure facing the lake, hair wild in the wind, wearing the coat from the photo. You step closer. "Hey," you call. She turns, smiles, but the smile isn't warm. It's knowing. You came back. Again. You whisper, "Tell me who I am." She walks to you, places a hand on your chest, over your heartbeat. You're whoever survives the loop this time. Last time, you drowned. You step back. The lake laps at your shoes, and then she hands you something. A pocket watch, stopped at 2:03. You open it. Inside is a photograph of her and you, but not the current you. Miles. He looks older, tired, scared. She whispers, "You wrote him out, but he's still here, in pieces." It was never about the truth. It was about control. And the one in control might be her. Your shadow moves before you do. You sleep in the lake house that night. If you can call it sleep. It's more like your body collapsing, while your mind drags itself through burning photographs, warped memories, and whispers from voices you almost recognize. At 2:03 a.m., you wake, not from sound, but from stillness, too quiet. You open your eyes and see your own shadow on the wall across from the bed, but you're not moving, and it is. It tilts its head. You do not. It raises a hand. Yours stays still. You hold your breath. The air turns heavy, like the weight of someone else's guilt is sitting on your chest. And then the shadow writes. You watch it scrawl across the wall in something darker than ink. Don't believe her. You lurch out of bed, knock over the lamp, and light floods the room. The shadow vanishes, but the words stay burned into the wood paneling like smoke scars. You stumble to the mirror by the dresser. This one's different. Not cracked, not warped, just blank. No reflection. You wave your hand. Nothing. You whisper your name. Still nothing. You're not in it. You don't exist here. Then a line of condensation forms across the mirror's surface. Miles is still inside. Let him finish. You stagger back. Miles isn't me, you mutter, but even your voice sounds unsure now. You grab the notebook, Wes. Somehow, it's here too, and flip through the pages. The ink is dry. The pages are blank, except for one at the very end. A signature. Not yours. Miles, F. 13A. Below it, final submission. Mirror 1. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The notebook begins to vibrate in your hand. You drop it. The cover snaps open. Pages begin flipping violently. And then a photo flutters out. You pick it up. You're standing on the lake dock, back turned, and behind you two shadows. One tall, one with no head. You can't breathe. You rush outside. The lake is still, too still. Fog creeps in, low and curling like smoke from a cigarette you don't remember lighting. She stands at the edge of the dock, looking at the water. Miles, she asks, without turning. You stop short. I'm not him. She doesn't answer. You step closer. She sighs. Then you're the one who watched him drown. She holds something out. A mirror shard. In it, you see yourself, and then you don't. You see him, Miles, eyes bleeding, mouth underwater, reaching up. You let him die, she whispers, and suddenly you remember the moment. You were there, watching, choosing not to help, because it was easier to be the survivor than the witness. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You take the mirror shard from her. On the back is etched, the body forgets, the shadow remembers, and below that, the next reflection will choose. It was never about the truth, it was about control. And this time, the mirror doesn't just show your face, it shows what's beneath it and what's waiting to come back. The final page writes itself. The wind of the lake is sharp now. It carries the scent of pine, rust, and something more ancient like damp ash, or the breath of a memory buried too long. You stand at the edge of the dock, the mirror shard clenched in your fist. Behind you, she hums, soft, familiar, a song you almost remember from a dream that never ended. You turn, but she's already gone. Only her coat remains folded carefully on the dock beside the pocket watch, still stuck at 2:03. You pick up the coat. It's warm, as if someone just stepped out of it. The water is still, flat as glass, a perfect mirror, and for the first time, you see it clearly. Not just your reflection, three of you, side by side, one calm, one afraid, one smiling. You back away. They don't. They step forward, hands rising. You drop the mirror shard. It hits the wood with a soft clink, shatters, but it doesn't cut. Instead, it reveals something underneath the dock plank, a latch. You pry it open. Inside a notebook. Your notebook? Or is it his? You lift it out. The cover is scorched, pages curled from heat, or time, or both, and then it opens itself. Pages flip in rapid succession, faster than you can stop them, until the last one, blank, and then ink begins to bloom. Line after line appears, scrawling like it's being dictated from somewhere deeper than thought. Miles failed to stay asleep. Version 13. A has destabilized. Host integrity compromised. Begin final overwrite. You drop the book, but the words keep writing. Onto the dock, onto your hands. Your name dissolves into symbols, and then you hear it. Footsteps. Behind you. You spin around. The other yous are standing at the edge of the forest now, watching, not smiling anymore, just waiting. You whisper, "What do you want?" The middle one, the one with your exact eyes, answers without moving his lips. You hear it in your head. "We are what's left when you stop pretending." You stagger back, trip, fall. The notebook lands beside you, flipped open, and on the last page, the final line finishes writing itself. You're not reading this, you're being read. Your hands begin to blur, first at the fingertips, then the wrists. You try to scream, but your mouth is fading too. The dock, the lake, the sky, everything begins to flatten, smear, like a story collapsing inward. The other yous begin walking toward you, and as they do, you see her again, standing at the lake's edge, eyes wide. But this time she looks at them, not you. You brought them back, she whispers. You were never meant to open the notebook again. You want to beg, to undo it, but you're not real enough anymore to speak. The last thing you see before the dark folds over you is the final page curling at the corner, and a new title appearing at the top, typed, simple. The man who forgot, he wasn't alone. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And this story was never yours. You were never the one. Writing, you wake to silence. But it isn't peaceful. It's hollow, the kind of quiet that follows erasure. You're lying on a wooden floor, not the lake dock, not your apartment, somewhere in between, somewhere that doesn't exist on any map you've seen. A soft light pulses from above, not quite sun, not quite electric. The air tastes of ash and regret, and in front of you, a desk, old, oak, familiar. A typewriter sits atop it. Not a notebook, not a screen. A typewriter, ivory keys, a red ribbon, paper half-fed and trembling in the breeze that shouldn't be here. You rise. Your legs don't shake, but they should. You approach. Look down. The page in the typewriter is nearly full. A single sentence remains unfinished at the bottom. And now, he finally understands that you reach out, but before your fingers make contact with the keys, the typewriter types on its own, slow, deliberate. He was the story, not the writer. You stumble back, look around. The room, if you can call it that, has no walls, just floating windows into every place you've ever stood and wondered, what am I doing here? Your bedroom, her kitchen, the hallway, the lake, the mirror, the reflection. You hear footsteps behind you, but when you turn, it's not someone else. It's you. Dozens of you, all iterations, some with scars, some holding notebooks, some holding pens, one wearing her coat, one barefoot and dripping lake water, and just one smiling. He speaks, your voice, but steadier. You only thought you were unraveling the mystery. You were just reading your own obituary. You shake your head, whisper, no. But you're already forgetting your name again, because names belong to real people, not echoes, not shadows. And you were never the one writing. The other yous step forward. In unison, they speak. He's almost out of pages. The typewriter dings, final line typed. You look down. It says, and in the end, the truth was this. He had been written out long ago. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The paper curls upward. Black ink bleeding at the edges, like it's catching fire in reverse. Your hands fade again, not from time, but from memory. No one remembers you anymore. And without memory, you don't get to stay. Not in the lake house, not in the mirror, not in her story, not even in yours. You close your eyes, feel yourself slipping into the seams between pages, into the blank space that waits between stories. A final voice, distant, almost kind. He was a good draft, but a draft, all the same. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And someone else was always holding the pen. End of script. Sleep well and watch your back.